You have reached the public service. Ask yourself one question. Are you a taker or a maker? As with any situation in life, is your situation taking or making you happy? This is a public service show, and I'm Sandra.
And I'm Kirk.
And today's show is about voting. We're calling this Voting 911 because there's some things afoot, and I don't like it.
Meaning 911, 911.
No, seriously, there are some things afoot that are trying to prevent us from voting.
I have to keep levity or I'll get so angry that I can't see myself straight.
911, 911.
Yeah, okay. See here. The right to vote, if you are a registered voter, you would be eligible to vote if you are a U.S. citizen living in the United States, at least 18 years old, registered where you currently live, and you are not serving a state or federal prison term for conviction of a felony. So this doesn't apply to misdemeanors. Not currently found mentally incompetent to vote by a court. Oh boy.
Well, some people are handicapped and can't make the decision.
I'm just talking about the mentally incompetent people that are already in office. Anyways.
Point, set, and match.
And this basically, these are, this is pretty standard across the United States. It really doesn't matter which state you live in. I mean, there might be an adjustment here or there by a few shades, but
I don't see how,
yeah.
Because federally, you have to be 18 years of age to vote.
Yeah.
You have to be a citizen of the United States and currently live in your state, and you have to have a current address to vote.
Yeah.
I mean, that's across all the states.
Yep.
So now, convictions of felony and non-felonies, that may differ per state.
Yeah.
They may say, but mentally incompetent, that's a no. So
okay.
Pretty much, excuse me while I do the head shake, pretty much these encompass all the states.
All
so
right.
If you're a registered voter and your name is not on the list, you can use a provisional ballot, okay? And the election officials will check to see your verification and your vote will count. So sometimes you move or something like that and it hasn't caught up with you yet, but they will check, the election officials will check to validate your vote. So all is not lost. So go in there and vote. It's important.
Yeah, and don't wait until
The
a couple
last
of
minute,
months,
yeah.
or a couple of days before. Get in there a couple of months. Make sure you're all squared away. Make sure that you are registered, whichever party you're part of. Make sure, check the I's, make sure they're dotted, make sure the T's are crossed.
That's very important.
Right.
So a lot of people, when they move, they think, oh, I won't be able to vote until the next election. That's not true. Go in there and fill out that voter ballot and say that you've moved from and then to, right?
Yeah.
And give your current address, and that makes you eligible again.
Yeah. Okay, so the right to vote. If you're still in line when the polls close, if you're in line, and some of these places, especially certain areas of the country, a certain group of individuals has tried to make it extraordinarily difficult to vote. And so long lines are a pretty common occurrence, at least from what we see on the news.
Well, they've closed the amount of polling places that you can go to in some of these states. And then they disqualify you by saying that, hey, time's up. Well,
Yeah.
That's not true in all states. If you're in line, a poll worker will come out there and make sure that the last person in line, still gets to vote. You still get to cast your ballot. Okay? And you have the right to cast a secret ballot. Nobody has to know who you voted for and what you want in your initiatives. That's part of the voting process. Okay?
Yeah. This is, I've heard rumors that, yet again, there is a certain group of individuals that they're going to try and pull a Russia and stand there and stare at what you put on your ballot.
They don't
That
have a
is
right
against
to.
the law.
It is. It's against federal law.
It's against the current law.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to try
to get you to vote a specific way.
Yeah.
If somebody walks over, you stop whatever you're writing, put your hands over it or flip it over.
Yep.
It is none of their business, and demand that they leave you alone. And if they do not, you make a lot of noise and tell somebody to come over. Get some help. Okay? So, if you make a mistake on your ballot, you have every right to request another one. Okay? That's not a problem. And they'll give you a fresh one with another number, which is assigned to you, and you can go right ahead and fill that ballot out, and it is still valid. Okay?
Let's see here. Okay. And if you mess up, if you're one of the states that has vote by mail, you can, and you mess it up, you can go to your polling place and you can exchange your vote by mail ballot for a new one at the election office or at your polling place, and then you can use that voting using as a provisional ballot.
Right, and that's important too. And also, you can get someone to help you with your ballot, not your employer and not your union representative. The reason why they say that is because they may have ulterior motives for who you vote for. And your boss will say, hey, no bonus if you don't vote for, or your union rep, hey, this guy, blah, 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 blah. No. Preferably a family member, someone trusted, can help you if you're having difficulties reading and stuff like that. That's what I would prefer. So.
Let's see here. You also have the right to drop off your completed vote by mail ballot at any polling place. And that is, again, for those states that offer the vote by mail, usually, obviously you can throw it in the mail and or go to one of these ballot drop-off boxes. A little point of note here. During the last run of this current administration, back in the his first go around, he put in place a certain individual that has basically destroyed our post office. For those of you who mail in your bills, you will have already figured this out. So I would highly recommend, instead of actually putting your ballot in the mail, see if you can't find one of these drop-off boxes, because it takes, I can't speak for everywhere else in the country, but in our city, mail can literally take almost a full 2 weeks to go a few zip codes over, and that's a problem.
Yes, it can be. You also have the right to get election material in another language other than English if enough people in your area speak a different language. If the majority of the people speak English, the ballot will be in English. If the majority of the people speak Spanish, the ballots will also be in Spanish.
Right.
So they'll print enough so that everybody's voice can be heard.
That's right.
So,
Barack Obama for a third term can be said in English or Spanish.
yeah, and I'm sure everybody can say that.
I'm kidding. Sorry, I don't want to have people
Clinton, anybody? No, I'm just kidding.
Clinton might be too old at this point.
Yeah, but I think that the brain is still functioning. So
Okay.
I don't know. We'll decide.
Yeah.
You decide.
Let's see here. Okay, the right to ask questions to election officials about election procedures and who watch the election process. If the person that you approach cannot answer the questions you're asking, they must provide someone to you who can accurately and concisely answer the questions that you have. but make sure that you show some courtesy and a little bit of tact whenever you're asking these questions. Especially there's a lot of polling places are manned by elderly people who this is common in our country. Uh, so be patient with them, kind, ask your questions, and I'm certain to help you out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's if you find that somebody is asking you for extra identification or money at your polling place, that's a huge red flag. And you should report that to the Secretary of State's office, the elected officials, because they are trying to prevent you from voting, and they do not have a right to ask you for any identification that is not part of the requirements for voting. All you have to do is give your name and where you live, and your ballot will be given to you. If they ask you for anything other than that, that's illegal. So you also cannot be prevented from voting by anybody in the polling place. They don't have the power to do that. Somebody sitting behind the desk says you can't vote, they don't have a right to do that to you. So just know your rights.
You know who else doesn't have the right to stop you from voting? Law enforcement. And that includes ICE. ICE cannot, your local police cannot, the FBI cannot, the CIA cannot, U.S. Marshals. I mean, who else do we got? I mean, if you actually go watch our law enforcement show, you'll know all the different law enforcement avenues, and not one of them
can prevent you, has the legal right to prevent you from voting. If they say that I'm a law enforcement agent and I'm preventing you from voting, that's illegal. You can file a complaint against the officer and say that he is taking away my constitutional right to vote. That should also be told to the Secretary of State's office.
No, he or she, because could be a she too.
I said, yeah. Now, we want to go into the demographics a little bit of voting. Who's voting and who's not? Now, 63% of men vote, but 66, almost 67% of women vote. Why? Well, we don't know. But we want those numbers up. By age demographics, if you'd like to talk about the age of the majority of the people that vote.
Yeah. And I think I've made a couple of comments on other shows. This number is just pitiful. 67%, I'm just going to round it up. 67% of women vote. Why isn't that, say, 99%? 63% of men vote. Why isn't that not, say, 99%? I don't know. But it's quite clear that as we're, when you go by demographic, there's an interesting breakdown that begins to happen here. And the younger you get, or the younger that the statistics address, more individuals lean towards Democrat versus Republican, the ones that vote.
So younger, he's trying to say that young Democrats, 66% of young Democrats,
young people
between the ages of 25 and 29 vote.
18 to 24.
And then 18 to 24, yeah, 18 to 24 vote. So they come right out of high school and they get their voting rights, as opposed to only 34% of Republicans between the ages of 18 to 24 vote. And Kirk asked me, why do I think that is? And I think that because in the Republicans, it's more of a protected education.
I think that the young people, anybody under 30, I think is more inclusive.
Yeah.
They've been raised with
Parents.
Lots of different groups of people. They go to school and there's lots of different groups of people. And as you get older, or at least as they start to show these different age breakdowns, and I'll put a copy of this up on our message board. But basically, the way it looks, and I don't understand it
It's
personally,
reversed,
is it really reverses. And
Yes, it does.
the flip happens right around the 40 to 50 something range, where you have, let's see here, 40 to 49, you have 50% of that voting age block votes Democrat, 47 Republican, and then that literally flips exactly once you get to 50
Okay, let me
to
show
59
you.
years old.
I know this is hard for you to see, but right here, age 18 to 24, they're voting Democrat. And right here next to it, only 34% of 18 to 24 is Republican. And as it goes down, less Democrats vote at the higher ages and more Republicans vote at the higher ages. That's what he's trying to explain.
Well, I think
that the
it's
majority of the voting for the Republicans start at an older age and Democrats start at a younger age.
well, I just look at this. So, of 100% of the voters, 18 to 24, 66 are Dem, 34 are Republican. Of 100% of the vote, yeah. So basically, and I don't understand why, because let's just face it. I mean, it's pretty obvious that we lean Democrat. We're actually more independent down the middle than you would think. But I mean, the Republican Party's gone so far off the reservation in the last 30 years, 40 years, that, yeah. I mean, people, at least in my humble opinion, people that are voting for Republican, let's face it, in this day and age, you're voting against your own best interest. But that's just me.
So the voting rules are that younger Democrats vote more and older Republicans vote more than the in-between. So that's not something we understand, but what we are advocating is more voting. We need more younger people out there because you're struggling out there, and we want your voice out there. Regardless of which way I lean, you're responsible for your own fate. Your actions have consequences, and your inactions also have consequences. So if you think about it like this, we're coming up to some very, very important elections very soon. Now, do you want to have a voice? Do you want to speak up and say, I don't want this or I want this? Either way, your actions have consequences or inactions.
Yeah. We're both firm believers of, if you don't vote, guess what you don't get to do? Complain. Seriously. I mean, if you don't vote, what are you whining about? You clearly were ready to accept whatever decision was made by other people.
Well, yes. And also, like I said, people say my vote doesn't matter. It does. If you can just pull your little computer out, because you have one, or a phone, and see how many close elections were decided by a few votes. And you think about yourself in that realm, about being the few.
That's right.
Right? And like I said, things are being taken away from us as we speak. And don't forget that all that money that our government has is our money. It's pooled resources, your taxes, your state, your federal taxes. You pay federal taxes on everything. That's our money. We should have a voice in how it's spent. But if you don't play and you don't participate, you can't complain. Just like you said, don't whine about you don't have anything because you didn't participate.
Yeah.
It's frustrating because we know that we hear you out there. We see you on social media saying, everything's so expensive, I don't make enough money, you young ones. I have to pay college, I have to do this. They just took away your ability to write off your college tuition that was given to you by a previous president.
Again.
They took that away. I was devastated for you. Now you're being garnished. And that's not right. So we hear you, but make them hear you. We hear you, make your government hear you.
Yeah.
Make them listen to you. There are way more of you out there that want a fair shake, that want, hey, my money's working here too. Just because I'm only 24 years old and I've only been working or for this long, no, it matters. You're part of our ecosystem. You're part of us, right? I don't care how little bit that you've contributed. You're still an American citizen. You've been voting since you're 18 or vote, and you have a right to have a decision part in how our money is spent, because you're going to be here a long time, right? And you want a shared part of the system. You have a right to share. I don't want to pay higher taxes than Bill Gates, who doesn't need your money, by the way. I can't afford this. His kids got their college paid for by a billionaire, right? And you're struggling. Why do you think they don't want you to be educated? Because other presidents do, and the other presidents wanted to pay for that. They said, no problem, go get an education. They don't want you to have an education. I want you to have an education. I want you to have the best opportunity to be able to navigate the United States. I want you to be able to know whatever you want to know for free, because that's part of my taxes too. I think that you should have a bachelor's degree on us. And if you don't want a bachelor's degree, I would pay for a trade school for you. So at least a trade school, meaning if you wanted to work on cars or you wanted to be a builder or any of those things, right? Or drive trucks. Trade school will teach you that. I want you to have that for free. I would rather my tax dollars go to educate American children and young adults than to building an army that is crazy big and basically useless. We are getting some education out of it, and I love our military. And I come from a military family, but it's the biggest military in the world.
By a factor of a lot.
And I would rather some of that money come back and reclaim education, healthcare, and take care of our citizenry. Because keep in mind, people, the money that pays for our military is our money.
You know what I would like to see?
I'm sorry, I got off my rant.
No, that's exactly what we're here for. I would like to see a little bit of the waste knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with
You mean the nuts
first.
And bolts for $3,000 for one screw?
It's just ridiculous. Yeah. And what's funny is people going, it's a myth.
No, it's not.
I've actually seen the invoices, so.
It's not a myth.
Sandra did some interesting research. I want to make sure we get this tossed in here too. And while some of it was surprising, I guess once I thought about it for 5 seconds, it wasn't surprising. Did you know that the Republican Party is quite literally, and we got a range here, so I'm going to hit it in the middle, 81 or 82% white. Why doesn't that surprise me? Why does it not surprise me that a party that, for the lack of a better term, seems to want to support baby rapers and racists is predominantly white? Anyways, yeah. And listen, another thing that we need to make this clear, and it's not a knock against people, it's not a put down, this is not Hispanic whites, okay? And I'm fairly certain I don't need to spell that out. So,
back from a short break.
A very short break. And as I was getting ready to rant before the break, wasn't a rant. It's just basically what we were talking about was Republican voters are basically 80 to 85% white. And that's a problem. Especially, everybody's seeing it. And a good chunk. Well, let me make sure I make this clear. That's 80 to 85% white. That's non-Hispanic white. I'm sorry, but Caucasian, not Latin. Latin, Caucasian is white. White,
I just need to
Caucasian.
discuss how that demographic got lumped in with white. Because when you talk to Spaniard, people from Spain, they don't consider themselves white. They consider themselves Spanish,
Yeah.
right? So that's very confusing to a lot of people. You're Hispanic, which is different from European whites, even though Spain was considered European at one time and maybe is still considered.
Well, Spain is considered European
It is,
whites,
but they are
don't consider
also, they
themselves
don't
Latin.
consider. So we consider you Latin and
Yeah,
Hispanic.
for the purposes of this,
Of demographics, you are not
you're Latin.
considered
You're not white.
white American.
And I'm pretty certain you really, in this particular case, in this particular time and era we live in,
You
the last thing you
understand
want to
that.
be is white. Because I'm sorry, but at least where I come from, you are who you support. So if you are riding Donald Trump's whatever, and
Trunks?
that whole trunks,
His
yeah.
trunk.
If you're riding that guy's jam, I'm not. I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to be lumped in. I mean,
Well,
I'm in the 15% that's not Republican. So
okay, we're not right.
anyways.
We're okay. The demographics of voting, right? And this is basically what we're trying to say.
Yeah.
That the majority of the Republican Party is white. What? Not Hispanic, white. And so
European white, I guess. Yes.
yeah, it's considered European white. And the rest of it, and the next 13% is considered Hispanic. So we're almost up to the 100%. And the rest is African American and Asian American. So they're the very smallest demographic of the Republican Party.
This touches. I mean, well, no, we'll bring it up at another time.
I know what you're. I know where you were going.
Offline.
So, the Democratic Party is, probably mirrors this, but in the other way.
Yeah, 15% white, obviously European white.
Right.
Looks like what 80% Hispanic, and 90% black, and 96%
And
Asian.
If we keep in mind that 57% of the United States reads at a 5th grade level. 5th grade.
Yeah.
So understanding a lot of this, maybe that's where some of the lower demographics come from.
Yeah.
I can't say that because I haven't done the research, but it's possible that a lot of people aren't voting because they only have maybe a 5th grade education.
Well,
maybe.
I'm just going to put it out there. I mean, if you've got a 5th grade education, and let's put it this is reading comprehension, which means, it's you read something, a paragraph, a book, whatever, and it is your ability to comprehend what you just read, which if 57.7% of this country is operating at 11 years old or younger,
5th grade, yeah.
That's a problem.
That is a problem.
I mean, that means you can't comprehend 90% of the issues you're supposedly voting on.
And not only that, this is why I want free education. Even though K through 12 is free,
yeah.
There's been, movements to try to, change it so that we keep them dumb.
Common Core.
Yeah. Oh, can we talk about Common Core?
Just
to take 1 plus 1 and turn it into a 12-minute problem is dumbing down America.
Yes.
It's always going to be 2. I don't care how you look at it, upside down, sideways, it's still 2. So
yeah, you don't need a full paragraph to explain that.
Things like that are very frustrating to me because Common Core cannot translate to college. That was very clever of whoever designed it, because you go into college and you start writing your math papers with Common Core when you're supposedly doing algebra, you are not going to be applicable. And you're not going to get a degree because you're not going to know how to do basic rudimentary math.
Yep.
Let's just be honest here. So that's part of the dumbing down of our children. And I'm just going to say it. Putting religion in schools has no benefit whatsoever.
None.
It doesn't teach you math. It doesn't teach you reading. It doesn't teach you writing. It doesn't teach you any coping skill whatsoever.
English, social
It doesn't
studies,
teach
history, bad history. Sorry, sweetie.
It doesn't teach you, how to play on the playground. It doesn't teach you anything, athletics, anything. So I don't see plus. If you're going to put religion in school, put everybody's religion in school. If you're only going to put one religion, take it out.
That means you have to let the devil worshippers in too, folks.
So the differences between church and state, I don't think I want to pay for a religion that I don't agree with, because I'd rather have my religion, and whatever my religion is my business. But therein lies the problem. So Common Core, no. Religion,
no.
Hell no. Oops, did I say that out loud?
Yes, you did.
So I'm going to put my foot down, and I said my first bad word, and that'll probably be my last. Hopefully.
But you get a pass. That's your mulligan.
It's my thank you, sweetheart.
You're welcome.
So I don't get to decide what is taught in school. We all, as a collective, should decide. Our children are becoming illiterate. This should be very concerning to you. This should be extremely concerning to you, that they are no child left behind. And this means that if your child can't do third grade rudimentary math, they get to go to the fourth grade anyway. No. When I was growing up, you stayed in third grade until you learned what third grade curriculum was available.
Yep.
And you had to pass. I don't like no child left behind. In other words, you just helped somebody who needed help out of school without the help they needed.
I mean, have you had a conversation with somebody in the last 2 weeks where you're looking at them sideways?
This infuriates me.
Literally asking, how did you
get out of
high school?
Because no child's left behind.
How did you? I mean,
and what kind of crap is that?
Yeah. And it all lands into the voting box.
Yes. Vote.
These people
voting. This is a 911.
They go in there, they have no clue of what they're reading. They don't have any concept of what it means, how it impacts other individuals. None.
But that's No Child Left Behind didn't have funding for children with disabilities and things, like some slow readers. That doesn't mean you're unintelligent, it just means you learn differently.
That's right.
ADHD, they're very bright too, extremely bright.
Very.
But they have difficulties focusing, so they need another way to be taught. All of those were left behind. They just kept passing them and passing them and passing them. And so they don't have the tools to be able to navigate to get the higher paying jobs. So they're stuck in jobs that they're way overqualified for because they didn't get the help with No Child Left Behind. Do we understand what we're saying here? So voting, back to voting.
Well, this all impacts voting.
It sure does.
Voting is about walking into the ballot box
and understanding what you need,
the things that are on that ballot,
and what you need.
I mean, just because, yes, okay, let's just say there are human beings on the ballot. Well, guess what? Those human beings have policies. They all spend a boatload of money to stand in front of your television screen in ads and telling you what it is that they're intending to do. And how are you supposed to know what they're intending to do or what they're going to roll out for you if you can't understand or comprehend what it is that they're saying? I mean, this is how liars get into the White House, because they can tell you any old thing, and like a lemming, you believe it because you don't have the critical thinking skills or the comprehension to go, how?
To discern
Someone
and
just told me they're going to
manipulator.
give me millions of dollars because that's you're going to make sure you have a chicken in your pub. How are you able to
Then they get in
discern
and you
that?
don't get any of that.
Yeah.
And you're angry because you weren't able to discern.
And then you blame
You weren't
somebody
able
else.
to recognize a manipulator.
Yeah.
Because a lot of charismatic people, not all, but a lot of charismatic people are master manipulators.
Master liars.
Look at me, and they'll say whatever you need. They've done their homework. They found out what you want to hear. And they're going to stand up there and they're going to say it. And then you're going to believe them because you really don't know them, right? But you're desperate to get something. You're desperate to, fix a problem in your life. And they're telling you all the wonderful, beautiful things that you want to hear, but you really don't know the character of this person. All you hear is verbiage. Blah, 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 blah. Then they get in office and you're like, wait a minute. You said that you were going to do this. They don't care anymore. Hey, I got the jacket. I don't need you. I've got the pen.
That's right.
And then they go for their 3 or 4 years, and then it's re-election time. And guess what they do? Blah, 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 blah. They give you the verbiage again. Will you fall for it the next time? Hopefully you don't. But sometimes you're gerrymandered and you don't get a voice.
Well,
but voting 911, we're telling you, no matter what happens, your vote matters.
Yep. We could go on and on
Yes.
about this. I mean, folks, we've reached a point in time where people need to stand up and be counted. And you need to put your best foot forward. And those individuals that don't, those individuals that it feels like they're less than, or they're a part of the problem instead of a part of the everybody moving toward success. We're coming to a head. This country's been around for a little over a couple hundred years now, and things are going to change. Change is coming.
Yes, but be part of the change.
And be part of the change.
Be part of the evolution of trying to create something that benefits all of us. We don't want a society that only benefits this many people.
Like Christian nationalists. Hey, I just had to get it out there.
So we want a society that benefits all of us.
Everybody.
And everybody's voice. Everybody should be able to have a voice and heard.
And
everybody.
Heard. Yeah.
Everybody. You keep repeating. So, what I'm thinking, trying to express here, is that when you're sitting there in those dark moments when you feel hopeless, because there are times when we all do, you think about the things that you can do. And it doesn't have to be big, like voting or writing your congressman or something like that online. Those are, to you, that's a big step. But it's a step for the better. That's pretty much all I'm going to say.
I just want people to participate. It's getting kind of, for those individuals that have traveled around the world, I've traveled around the world, and you see these other countries and you see what they have to deal with and the obstacles they have to go through for even a sniff of democracy. And to be in a country where is literally considered, democracy is like the seat of democracy, and to watch what's happening now, and then to also see and watch and listen to these people. Oh, I don't vote. I've never voted. I mean, really, get out of the country. You don't belong here. Talk about apathy, lazy, unmotivated. I mean, but it is. I mean, when I look at these numbers
I
here,
understand.
60% of the country, only 60 to 70% of the country. Seriously? Please. And
Well,
then to listen to them whine about, oh my, it's too expensive. It's, yeah. You didn't put your voice out there. You sat around and waited others to dictate to you your life. Go vote. It is 911. We're at an inflection point. And this coming November, if we actually get to vote, because they're fighting, we haven't even gotten into the SAVE Act, where they're trying to eliminate the women's right to vote. I don't even know what to say. Go vote. And if you don't comprehend whatever it is they're telling you, find somebody who does to explain it to you. Okay, I'm off my soapbox.
My feelings about this is that it's your voice. You express it the way that you feel you want to express it. We're not here to tell you which way to vote. That's your prerogative. We're just telling you to get motivated, because this is the time to be motivated. This is the time to go out there and say, okay, I need you to hear me. Like, I'm not telling you to get dressed up and go out there. I'm telling you you can do it right from your home. You can make the difference. You can help affect change. And we will hear you. I think we've covered just about everything. And I'm going to sign off. Is your life taking or making you happy or better? Because this is a public service show. And I'm Sandra.
And I'm Kirk.
And go to our message boards.
Yes, the public service. Actually, okay. It is thepublicservice.org. Thepublicservice.org.
You have been watching a public service show. America is part of a global community. Sandra and I are well aware that the American experience had the hope for freedom. America isn't perfect by any means, and we are currently having our freedoms tested. Here at the Public Service Show, we're going to look at how and why we're at this point in America.